My younger sister was the family's little princess, and I had always spoiled her too. Toys, jewelry, as long as she said the word, I'd give it to her. On the day of my engagement, she secretly wore my custom gown, her makeup flawless, and looked at my fiancé with tearful eyes. She assumed, as always, that I'd give this up for her too, but I held Marco's hand and said, "This is one thing your big sister won't be giving you." Marco chuckled and added, "Sorry." Yet, years later, when I was hemorrhaging during labor, he abandoned me to care for my feverish sister. From the moment I saw her at the engagement party, I knew I'd chosen the wrong woman. He told me coldly, "It was because you wouldn't let go that I wasted so many years away from her." And just like that, I died with my unborn child. But when I opened my eyes again, I was back at the engagement party. Chapter 1. Sophia stood in front of me, red-eyed and trembling in my haute couture wedding gown. Her naturally sweet face, paired with exquisite makeup, made her look heartbreakingly pitiful. I paused for a moment, then looked down. I was holding Marco's hand. I had just refused her request to give him up. All our lives. Anything she wanted, I gave. Even if there was only one of something, even if I loved it dearly, I'd still hand it over. But this time, I said no. Her face was full of disbelief. She stood there awkwardly, exposed under the scorching stares of the guests. This must have been the first time in her 20-some years that things didn't go her way. "Sorry," Marco said with a gentle smile as he looked at Sophia. But this time, I caught something new in his gaze, a fleeting trace of regret and just a touch of resentment. In my last life, I didn't notice it. Worse, I mistook that apology for affection. After we married, he always treated me coldly. I devoted myself to my career, leaving only a corner of my heart for him, thinking that one day, my love would melt his frost. But no matter how kind I was, he stayed distant. Only when I brought profits to his company would he glance at the documents and sign them. Even when I collapsed with a high fever, he only visited once, briefly, when I was almost recovered. I thought he was just naturally aloof, or maybe, just too busy, until I got pregnant, and saw the man who had always been lukewarm to me hold my sister, who only had a minor fever, in his arms. His face filled with panic. I choked on a mouthful of blood. Beneath me, blood gushed like a river. And yet, he did nothing. He merely stood there, staring coldly. From the moment I saw her at the engagement party, I knew I'd chosen the wrong woman. "It was you who wouldn't let go. You're the reason I lost all those years with her." Only then did I understand, he wasn't cold by nature. He just didn't love me. Looking at Marco's apologetic smile now, I loosened my grip on his hand. Just kidding. If Sophia wants something, how could her big sister say no? Chapter 2. Sophia and Marco were both stunned. Everyone knew that while Marco's family had seen better days, marrying him still meant taking over their company. And that came with a massive dowry. Marco's eyes lit up for a moment, but he quickly composed himself. "Amelia, this isn't really fair to you, is it?" I waved it off casually. "What's the difference? It's just a business alliance. Does it matter which sister marries into the family?" A flicker of joy flashed across Sophia's face. She tried to suppress the smile tugging at her lips. "But, sister, if I marry Marco, then the Marco family business." I raised an eyebrow, eyes sharpening, so she knew what I'd lose by stepping aside, but she wanted it anyway. Sophia's gaze darted away. Guilty for a split second, I smiled coldly. "It's all yours. If my little sister wants something, she can have it." Sophia could no longer hide her glee. Her lips curved up involuntarily. "And me?" I smiled too. She had no idea how hard Marco's company would be to manage. In my last life, I nearly broke down from stress trying to build his family empire into a corporate giant. But looking back, maybe I should have just sold off the shares when I inherited them and lived a carefree, luxurious life. I narrowed my eyes. I wonder, will my pampered, business-illiterate sister really manage to build a legacy with the so-called heir? Marco set the engagement ring aside and looked at Sophia. "This ring was made to fit your sister's finger. I'll have a new one made for you." Sophia blushed. "Well then, I'll take my leave." From the corner, a man stood up and walked out lazily. Memories from my past life surged back like a tidal wave. I grabbed the ring and ran after him. catching him just outside. Marry me. Chapter 3. In my previous life. Because I didn't give up Marco, Sophia had to marry his younger brother, Ethan. He was an illegitimate child. For someone like Sophia, who had always been worshipped by everyone, marrying him was a humiliation. It wasn't long before they divorced. Ethan, who had never taken kindly to being looked down on, not only divorced her, but also cut ties with the family. Later, he became my biggest rival in business. Until the day I died, the company he founded was still crushing mine. A one-man army. That kind of talent, if I didn't bring him to my side this time, I'd only get crushed again. He looked down at the ring in my hand, raising an eyebrow. You want to marry me? I nodded firmly. Really now? He was 2 heads taller than me. He leaned down, eyes twinkling with mockery. Lady, just a reminder, I'm a bastard. I don't have a claim to the family fortune. Marrying me won't get you anywhere. I froze. His bluntness caught me off guard. He scoffed and turned to leave, but I grabbed his wrist. Surprised. He looked back. How do you know we won't end up somewhere better? I held the ring tightly and smiled. They say you're fearless, so, dare to make a bet? He frowned slightly. I pressed on. I'm willing to bet on you, so what makes you think you can't bet on me loving you? There was a flicker of emotion behind those deep-set eyes. Then, he let out a cold chuckle between clenched teeth. He lifted my hand and slid the ring onto my finger, then gave me a look. You're insane. And with that, he turned and walked off, as if we hadn't just gotten engaged, but rather just finished a casual drink with friends. I looked down at the ring glinting in the sunlight and smiled triumphantly. Chapter 4. When I returned, Sophia was clinging sweetly to Marco's arm, toasting the guests one by one. What was supposed to be my engagement party had clearly become her grand debut. She noticed me, and the ring on my finger. Her lips curled into a sneer, and she leaned closer to Marco. Ethan's actually quite fitting for my sister. A few guests looked startled. Everyone knew Ethan was the illegitimate son, hardly someone to bring into the spotlight. For her to say that aloud? That was harsh. I laughed aloud. Sister, if I were you, I'd drop to my knees right now and thank me with 3 good kowtows. She blinked. What? I raised my voice. If I hadn't handed him to you, do you really think you'd have your dear brother-in-law now? Acting smug over leftovers, tell me, do you brew green tea while soaking in your bath? A few guests couldn't help but laugh. Sophia, spoiled as she was, turned red in the face. You're making things up. Marco and I love each other. We never needed you to step aside. Love each other? I yanked at the neckline of her dress. How's my gown fit? Comfortable? Guests started murmuring among themselves. No wonder it looked a little tight. It's her sister's gown? From a wealthy family and still wearing someone else's dress? Sophia definitely did it on purpose. I let out a laugh. So much for true love. Why steal my dress to get noticed? Afraid your true love wouldn't even see you without it? Oh, sorry, not your brother-in-law anymore. Marco frowned. Haven't you said enough? It's just a couple of words. Why so sensitive? I raised my glass, smiled at him, and said lightly, wishing you two a long and miserable life together. My tone was breezy, too calm. Marco's frown deepened. Humans are funny. Winning what you desire brings joy. But if the person you took it from shows no regret, it leaves a bitter aftertaste. And I came here just to ruin their aftertaste. Chapter 5. Sophia and Marco's wedding was lavish, far more extravagant than mine in the previous life. But of course, Sophia was their real daughter. I, on the other hand, was just the child of my mother and her ex-husband. My stepfather never truly accepted me. Marco's family despised illegitimate children, and my stepfather thought it was disgraceful for me to marry one. So we didn't get a wedding at all. On the day we registered the marriage, we simply had a meal somewhere. And just like that, we were married. See? Told you, there's nothing good in being with me. Ethan said with a careless grin. I took a sip of wine. Relax. I'm still here, aren't I? I inherited 10% of my family's business. Not much, but the profits are strong. It's more than enough for the two of us. He hadn't expected me to be so upfront, but after a brief pause, he went back to his usual laid-back tone. Then we're definitely starving to death. That attitude, no wonder Sophia wanted a divorce. But I wasn't angry, because we were the same, a stepdaughter, an illegitimate son. What's the difference? No right to protest, no right to complain. If the real heiress wanted something, you gave it to her. This family gave you a name and resources. In return, you were expected to be obedient, proper, and grateful. As for your pathetic little longing for affection, keep it buried. Don't embarrass yourself. Sophia still needed us to pave her way forward. Who in this family had the time or energy to care about our feelings? So, little by little, that selfish part of us got buried so deep, it was like it had never existed. Moonlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting shadows across Ethan's sharp features. Suddenly, I wondered if what I was doing was wrong. I wanted to use him. When he rose to power in the future, I'd ride his momentum and clear my own path. But I was baiting him with the very thing I'd been denied my whole life, love. That's pretty damn messed up. The wine in my glass shimmered slightly, but I wasn't angry at his aloofness. Don't worry, as long as I'm breathing, I'll do everything I can to smooth the road ahead of you. When you've lacked something your whole life, and you see someone else lacking the same thing, some people twist the knife. Me? I give back everything I never got. Ethan froze for a second. Maybe it was just my imagination, but his gaze didn't look quite so distant anymore. Then he raised his glass, voice lazy again. Lady, once you give me something, don't expect to take it back. Think carefully before you say anything. I rolled my eyes and clinked glasses with him. What kind of woman do you take me for? Chapter 6. Sophia's honeymoon didn't last long. Just a few months after taking over the two companies, long profitable accounts under her management began showing losses. Meanwhile, my modest 10% share kept hitting record profits, earning far more than she was losing. After all, in my past life, I not only kept my own assets flourishing but also dragged Marco's nearly dead company back into the rankings. This time around, managing just a small piece of the puzzle? Child's play. But at this family dinner, the atmosphere felt off. Amelia, Mom said gently, your recent performance has been great, but your sister is having a bit of trouble. Do you think you could hand over your profits to help her out? I paused mid-sip and looked up. Huh? I did the math. She continued, if we move your earnings and add your liquid funds, it should cover Sophia's shortfall. As the elder sister, shouldn't you contribute to the family? I almost laughed out loud. Dad, Mom, when I was losing money, you told me to figure it out myself. But now that my sister's reckless mismanagement has led to deficits, I'm supposed to bail her out, including Marco's business, which she only got after crashing my engagement. Do I owe her something? Sophia's eyes widened as always, letting our parents do the heavy lifting. Why don't you owe me? She snapped. If you hadn't handed Marco over so easily, I wouldn't have let my guard down. I thought the shares from his family were a generous dowry, but they turned out to be a landmine. If you'd warned me, I wouldn't be in this mess. Well, she wasn't wrong. Marco's company was a ticking time bomb. They just wanted to dump their burden on us, on me, the good and capable friend of the family. They counted on me to be generous, to save them without taking a cut. Too bad that version of me died last life. Sophia? She couldn't even lift the bomb, let alone carry it. Yes, Amelia, Mom added. Sophia's still inexperienced. You're supposed to support her now that she's in debt. You do share some responsibility. Come on, 150 million isn't that much for you. You just received a large fund recently. I know that much. Her tone turned cold, worried that my refusal would upset my stepfather. In the past, I would have caved. But now? Clink! I put my chopsticks down hard. No way. Amelia! Mom slapped the table, but I didn't flinch. That money is bridge capital. If I throw it into Sophia's black hole, both of us will go down. My own liquidity will collapse. And what about our credibility with our partners? I worked hard to secure that deal. If I screw it up now, who'll work with us again? My stepfather finally spoke, his tone cold and absolute. Is that your final answer? It is. I wasn't about to be someone else's stepping stone. Not again. His lip twitched. Fine. Amelia, clearly I've been too lenient with you. You really think this family can't survive without you? As of now, I'm revoking your authority over all company affairs. We're also reclaiming your assets. Go back to wherever you came from. Mom's face turned pale, but not because she was worried about me. Watching her tiptoe around my stepfather, I knew she was only afraid he'd turn that anger on her. After Sophia was born, she'd always seen me as a burden. If I hadn't shown exceptional talent in business, she'd have kicked me out years ago. My stepfather turned to Sophia, patting her on the head. Don't worry, sweetheart. Daddy will transfer all of Amelia's funds to you. Your debt is nothing to worry about. Sophia nestled between him and Mom, wiping away fake tears. She sniffled sweetly, but when she looked at me, her once innocent eyes gleamed with smug contempt. Chapter 7. Overnight, all my titles in the family company were revoked. I became the most thoroughly dismissed person on record. My mother ordered the maids to throw out all my belongings and deleted my contact information while they were at it. I stood outside the door, watching it slam shut in my face without hesitation. She didn't even spare me a glance. I lowered my eyes, feeling nothing. That childhood craving for love and attention had long been buried, so deep it had probably died inside me. Even being thrown out didn't sting, because I'd already prepared myself for it long ago. As I dragged my suitcase and tried to call a driver, a car stopped right in front of me. Ethan's smirking face appeared behind the window. Going on a trip, ma'am? Trip your grandma. Sophia must have already broadcast my downfall to the world. No way he didn't know. He was probably just lurking nearby, waiting to enjoy the show. But he just grinned, unfazed. Want your husband to give you a ride, my lady? Don't mind if I do. I yanked open the door and got in. Now get out. Load my suitcase. He paused. Wow, not shy at all. Huh? Well, there was still one company they couldn't touch. It was a small business my dad left me. After his death, it was transferred to my name. My mom always looked down on Dad's meager legacy. She hadn't even bothered to mention it when kicking me out. Luckily, as long as I still had that, Ethan and I wouldn't starve. But very soon, I faced something worse than hunger. That tiny company was sued by my stepfather's group. During a project the group had outsourced, there had been an accident, and because my company had previously partnered with them, they found a loophole in the contract and dumped all the liability on us. Now, furious families of the victims were protesting outside my office. And me? Crushed under endless work and lawsuits, I collapsed. The next day, I woke up with a skull-splitting headache. Gloria, my assistant, kept calling. I tried several times before finally answering. I'm coming, just stall a bit longer. Gloria sounded shocked. Boss, what happened to your voice? Should I call our partner? He might. No. Cough cough, no way. I nearly choked myself to death. Tell them. I'll be there, in 30 minutes. I had no strength. Just sitting up made me dizzy. I clawed my way to the nightstand. There were flu meds in there. I remembered. Wow. Swimming much, ma'am? A mocking voice from above. Of course it was Ethan being annoying again. He must have just come back from his morning run and shower. He was shirtless, casually sipping coffee like he didn't notice the situation. I had no energy to admire his ridiculously well-built chest. I rasped out, med, drawer, cough cough. He blinked, then set his cup down and sat beside me, studying me seriously. What are you doing? Cosplaying Donald Duck? F off. I knew I couldn't count on him. Still, I tried crawling to the floor. My vision blurred, everything was double. He grabbed me and held me down. I'm calling a doctor. You're not going anywhere. No, the company won't die without you. You might. No, I have to. Cough cough. I shoved at him and tried to get up, but with a loud thud, I collapsed to my knees, like I was begging him for a red envelope on New Year's. You've got to be kidding me. He scooped me up and pinned me back on the bed. You're not going anywhere today. I'm watching you. I struggled again. This time, he pressed down harder and finally snapped. Do you have a death wish? Look at yourself. His shout snapped me out of it slightly, gritting my teeth. I whispered the truth. You don't know, my dad was hounded to death by people like that. Cough. His hand froze. I looked at his blurred figure. Now my mom's using the same method on me. Ever since she got her new family, I've been dead weight. Cough. I'll never bow my head to her. I can't let her think my dad and I are that easy to trample. Silence. Then Ethan sighed. All right, I'll go. Curled in his arms. I actually laughed through the fever haze. My mind was foggy, and I blurted out, "You won't manage, not yet. 2 more years, when you meet your partner, cough cough, that's when you soar. Even I won't be able to beat you then." His brows furrowed. What did you just say? But by then, the fever had fried my brain. I rolled my eyes back and passed out. Chapter 8. When I woke up again and saw the time on my phone, my first reaction was, I'm screwed. I'd been out for 2 whole days. The company was probably already torn apart by those angry families. Then I saw Gloria, and panic surged through me. What are you doing here? Go deal with the workers' families at the company. She blinked. Huh? But Mr. Ethan already handled everything? I sat bolt upright. Say that again? Wasn't Mr. Ethan sent by you, President? Gloria looked genuinely confused. He dealt with the families in no time. Got them to withdraw the lawsuit too. I figured you told him what to do. I was unconscious. Woman, how the hell could I give him instructions? He also patched up the company's financial hole, not sure where he got the money. Though, money? Wait. A cold chill crept up my spine. Back in my previous life, Ethan's rise was way too sudden. After that, he became unstoppable. No matter how many resources I threw at it, I couldn't take him down. If that wasn't luck, then, that kind of strength must have been planned for a long time. Which means, he's already operating at a terrifying level. Where is he? Got slashed twice by a family member. He's lying down in the other building. I nearly fell out of bed. Gloria rushed over. Panicked. You just woke up. Don't get worked up. Tell me what you need, and I'll do it for you. I want to go see. I hadn't even finished the sentence when someone appeared at the door, leaning against the frame, his left arm bandaged. Ethan stared down at me, not a hint of relief in his expression. Instead, he looked angry. Chapter 9. Gloria, sensing the tension, wisely slipped away. Ethan curled his lips mockingly. Miss really is two-faced. Used me, then tossed me aside. Huh? I was confused. What are you talking about? He pressed me down with one hand. What's the meaning of sending Sophia to take care of me? Huh? Couldn't even afford a nurse. So you threw that thing at me? In that instant, I understood everything. In my last life, Sophia secretly added Marco on WeChat after I rejected her, messaging him good morning and good night every day, while I was away on business trips. She'd show up at my place claiming I asked her to look after my husband. Marco never liked me much, and didn't bother to confirm, just accepted her kindness. By the time I found out, they were practically living like a couple. When I cut off all financial support to Sophia, she twisted the narrative and made it look like I was the villain. When I died, Marco condemned me for being jealous. That was then, but now, she still dares to play the same tricks. I just woke up. How could I have sent her to care for you? Even if I were awake, I would never let her near you. Ethan let out a cold laugh. Oh, right. Miss always plans 10 steps ahead. That's why you ran straight to marry a bastard like me. Huh? You were just using me. Bet you plan to ditch me in 2 years when I'm no longer useful. Didn't you? I froze. So, he'd heard what I said during the fever. My heart instantly chilled from inside out. That was nonsense. I was burning up. You know that. I know perfectly well what's nonsense and what's from the heart. Seeing the understanding in his eyes, I panicked even more. Wait, you actually. He smirked, but behind it was a trace of sorrow. I should have known. No wonder you gave your fiancé to your sister. No wonder you picked me instead. You said I should bet on your love. But even in this second life, your love is just bait, isn't it? I had never seen someone so cocky, look so sad, and I'd definitely never seen Ethan with such broken expectation. I didn't respond. His smile grew colder. I'll give you everything you want, just don't you dare lie to me about love. You probably never even planned what to do with me once you've used me. What? A bastard like me doesn't deserve love, right? I should have let that protester finish me off. At least then the inheritance would go to you, and I wouldn't have to drag this stupid body just to see you. Ethan! I slapped him across the face. Not hard, didn't want to actually hurt him. He froze. My hand trembled as I pushed him away. Do you really think so little of yourself? Huh? You think if I don't love you, your life's over? If someone rejects your business plan, you just quit? Since when were you this weak? Were you even worthy of being my rival in the past? You're a damn fool. He stood there, bandaged up, and I couldn't help but soften my tone a little. Besides, Ethan, I love you. You're the one I love the most. There's no one else. He didn't move. I stepped closer. Gently. Ethan? He caught my hand, placed it on his cheek, and looked down at me. Amelia. It hurts. My heart skipped a beat. Holy crap, that was the first time he didn't call me miss. Chapter 10. Where does it hurt? I reached to check his wounds. He grabbed my hand, guiding it to his cheek, the one I slapped. Here. I didn't even hit him that hard. His hand slid mine downward, brushing past his bandaged arm. Here too, and then stopped at his abs. And here. Okay. That one I couldn't really argue with. Amelia. I was humiliated because of Sophia. You owe me compensation. I blinked. But I didn't send her to you. He ignored me and pressed me down onto the bed, one hand being plenty for his shamelessness. Doesn't matter. You still owe me. I stared at him, dumbfounded, and a few minutes later, I was no longer arguing, but swearing instead. Ethan, you bastard. Several hours later, he finally let me go. I lay slumped in his arms, drifting off to sleep. His breath brushed against my ear. Amelia, like I told you, once something's mine, I don't give it back. Half asleep, I mumbled a sleepy When I woke again, Gloria was sitting beside me, peeling an apple. Boss, you're awake. Mister, Ethan bought you breakfast. He's at the office finishing things up. I shot upright, only to be caught by her returning arms. You haven't even eaten. Where are you going? To beat someone up. She looked stunned. Chapter 11. Sophia was truly fearless. Even after reincarnation, she still dared to steal what was mine. I stormed to their house, only to stop short when I heard shouting from inside. Sophia, what do you mean you regret it? Why didn't you say that before marrying me? Now you regret it just because she married your brother? What kind of man are you? Marco? Marco, I told you, I'll give you however much money you want. What's the point of this tantrum? Sophia, you think she'll come back to you after you divorce me? Marco, you bastard. Marco, at least I'm not a bastard. And your management skills can't even compare to one. Don't think I don't know you went to see my brother. Sophia, you. Marco, what? Realizing now that you married the wrong man after seeing what he's really capable of? Then divorce me. Quick! Stop wasting both our time. The shouting stopped. They both turned toward the door, toward me. Marco's eyes lit up, voice trembling. Amelia. I felt my vision blacken. Why does it sound so wrong when he says my name? This wasn't the time. I spun around and bolted. Amelia! Marco, if you leave now, don't even think about coming back. Let go. Don't make me say it twice. I leapt into a cab. Drive. Lose the lunatic behind us. Chapter 12. The taxi driver was unusually fast. And quite the coincidence, it stopped right in front of my house. Sir, you. I was about to praise him when Ethan took off his baseball cap. My words caught in my throat. Why are you here? He tapped the steering wheel with his slender fingers. My brother sure can't stop thinking about you. Huh? I swallowed hard. Something told me this wasn't going to end well. Sure enough. He chuckled and looked over at me. Not like me. No one's ever held me in their heart. Ever since I can remember. I was called a bastard. Got brought home at 6. Treated like dirt. No love from Dad. Mom. Just cold leftovers and dirty looks. I quickly cut in. All right, I hold you in my heart. Always have. Always will. He smirked like he'd just won a bet. Oh yeah? Yeah. Then prove it. I turned to look at him, stunned. How the hell was this guy my unbeatable nemesis in a past life? He raised a brow, like he was about to push it even further. Panicking, I leaned over and gave him a quick kiss on the lips. The seatbelt snapped open in an instant. Before I could even react, his arms locked around my waist, pulling me onto his lap. Straddling him, he held my waist and looked up at me. Not convincing enough. Let's just say, for the next few hours, I became the proof. Chapter 13. Maybe it was the effect of reincarnation, but Ethan's rise to power came a lot sooner this time. When I found out that the mysterious business partner who wired me that huge bridge loan was him, I nearly fell off the bed. "You're not afraid I can't repay you?" I asked. He folded his arms behind his head. "Anything I give my wife, I never take back. Only thing I can't give you yet is my ashes, but anything else, just ask." I slapped him on the head. "Ashes my ass. Knock on wood." He laughed. Gone was the distant, unreadable man from my first life or our earlier encounters. Now he was vibrant, honest, real. If the past me knew that her fiercest enemy would one day be cuddling her in bed, she'd have sold all her shares and run for the hills. Ethan's business empire was booming now, and together we'd formed a powerhouse alliance between our companies, rapidly expanding our influence. But we refused to let Marco or my stepfather's businesses join. Without me, they were no match for our black and white duo of destruction. Ethan loved showing me screenshots of his chat with Sophia. Yes, she sent him a friend request this time around too. He wanted to reject it, but I stopped him. "Keep her. Let her be your virtual pet." I loved watching her clown herself. After being ignored long enough, Sophia got frustrated and accused him of stringing her along. Ethan replied simply, "You think you're worth that much?" She disappeared for a while, then came crawling back, only to find she'd already been blocked. I burst out laughing, but didn't dare tell Ethan his brother was still pestering me too. Every time Marco made a new account, I blocked it, but the guy was relentless. If Ethan ever found out and got jealous, I'd be stuck coaxing him for days. Just when everything seemed to finally settle down, Ethan disappeared. Chapter 14. I ran alone to the river dock. Marco was already there waiting for me. "So, you really still can't let him go, huh?" He looked relaxed, as if he had all the time in the world. Under the dim dock lights, the silver frames of his glasses glinted coldly, reflecting the mocking light in his eyes. "Sweetheart, is he really that good to you? Good enough for you to throw away your husband from your last life?" I clenched my jaw. "So you remember too." He smiled, taking off his glasses and gently wiping them. "Too bad I came back too late. When I was reborn, you had already married my useless little brother, Amelia. After you died, I'd never regretted anything more." Putting his glasses back on, his eyes grew clearer and sharper. "The traces you left behind in our house, I spent my whole life trying to erase them, but I couldn't. I thought if I moved, I'd forget you. But you were already carved into my bones. My biggest regret in life was not growing old with you." I interrupted impatiently. "Where's my husband, Ethan?" His words stopped cold. A moment later, a self-deprecating smile curved his lips. "You're already calling him husband? And me? What am I to you?" I frowned. "What are you? A piece of trash." He looked like my words cut deep, but I didn't care. "Where is he?" A cold smirk slashed across his face as he slowly stepped aside. Behind him, bobbing on the river's surface, was a body. "Ethan can't swim." My heart sank to the bottom of the abyss. I dashed forward, on the verge of screaming Ethan's name, only to freeze. That face on the floating corpse was Sophia's. Noisy woman, kept trying to tag along and ruin my plans, so I threw her in. Much quieter now. Marco's tone was disturbingly playful. "If it weren't for her, you and I wouldn't have ended up torn apart in our last life. In my past life, my body was dumped here too. This dock was remote, no surveillance, no witnesses. If they said I slipped and drowned, no one would question it." I sneered. "It's always someone else's fault with you." "Huh? Marco, you really haven't changed at all from the scumbag I met in my last life." His face darkened. "This dock is close to international waters. These boats, registered in tiny countries with no real laws. Once we're out there, even murder is easy." I turned to face him, chin high. "Fine. Then bring me to Ethan. Let me die with my husband." He flinched, just slightly, but I caught it. His hand trembled. Is he really worth all that? Isn't he? 1,000, 10,000 times better than you. If I die without seeing him one last time, I'll never rest in peace. Guess I'd spent too much time around Ethan. I'd picked up some of his cocky ways. My tone was drenched in mockery. Marco's face twisted through a storm of emotions, then finally settled into a cold, bone-deep smile. I didn't fight tooth and nail to come back, just to watch you fly off into the sunset with another man. He raised his hand. Dozens of hulking men surged from the boats and nearby sheds. Marco chuckled. Take her. Put her on the boat. I took a step back, but slammed straight into the chest of a burly man behind me. Marco's smile deepened. I'll take you to a place where no one will ever find us. There, you'll be my only wife. This life, you're mine. Amelia, you're insane. I clenched my teeth. You really think I came here alone? My assistant already called the cops. Marco shrugged casually. Gloria, right? Sorry, she's been mine for a while now. My breath caught. I'd been too panicked when I came, should have called the police myself. Before I could scream, they shoved a rag into my mouth and dragged me toward the boat. Suddenly, boom! A thunderous explosion echoed over the river. One by one, the boats burst into flames, the one they were going to use to take me away completely disintegrated. Sirens blared in the distance, growing louder. Marco's men instantly panicked. What the hell? Weren't we told no cops? Don't just stand there. Run. But it was too late. The entire dock was already surrounded. They scattered like rats, but the police quickly cornered them. I stood alone on the deserted dock. Across the water, a lone undamaged boat slowly approached. The cabin door opened. Ethan stepped out, holding a remote detonator, with a casual smirk on his face. Wifey, are you here to rescue your damsel in distress? I was still holding the rag they used to gag me. All I could do was stare at him in speechless disbelief. Chapter 15. After this incident, both families were completely finished. Gloria had already been flipped by Ethan long ago. Now, she was headed straight to prison with the rest. My mom came crying, begging me to save my stepfather. I simply smiled and waved for someone to escort her out. Sorry, I don't know this lady. Didn't she just kick me out of the house not long ago? My stepfather went to prison, buried in debt. The debt collectors came knocking on her door. She went into hiding for a while, but in the end, she couldn't take it anymore. She burned charcoal and ended it all. I didn't even show up to deal with her remains. Ethan knelt on a washboard for 2 full days before I forgave him. Babe, the plan was too dangerous. That's why I didn't tell you. I never thought you'd care so much you'd charge in alone. I'm so touched. Touched my ass. Shut up. But he just grinned wider, then pulled out his go-to move. Amelia, I don't have a grandma. She didn't like me. She was the first one to call me a bastard when I was a kid. And okay. I cut him off. Headache incoming. I apologize. Happy now? He pointed to his lips. What kind of apology is that? That night, once again, I ended up being the cushion under him.